Good morning and welcome. My name's Martin Borchert. I'm University Librarian at University of New South Wales in Sydney, Australia. I have the pleasure of interviewing you, John, this morning as part of the IATUL Spaces interview series. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you, John?
G'day, Martin. John McLennan is my name. I'm director at MCA Architects in Sydney, Australia. Working with you right now on an exciting project at University of New South Wales. And our firm specialises in education projects across the whole gamut, so early education right up to tertiary education. And
Mm,
that's what brings me here today.
thank you very much. Have you worked on other library projects before?
Oh, plenty. And I guess in recent times, our most so plenty within the schools, lots of school libraries, and our most recent work has been with yourself at Paddington Library, and now more recently at the main campus.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And what are you finding to be rewarding about designing libraries?
Libraries are so unique, Martin. There's really no building typology that comes close to a library, and that's one of the things I find so rewarding because there's no parallel to a library in that it has so many needs and functions to meet and facilitate, and the community that can be fostered within a library and the community, a sense of community that can be established, whether you're an individual or in a larger group, it's unparalleled. And so there's that sense of belonging to the wider community that you can feel in a library that you might not feel even municipality offices or the main offices at a university. That's not where you feel at home. That's not where you feel community. And so I would say the most rewarding aspect for me in terms of designing and being involved in library refurbishments as well is helping fostering community and seeing that flourish.
Thank you. And what are you finding also then to be the complexities,
Mm,
and then are the challenges in those
yes.
projects as well?
Yeah, so there's a myriad of challenges. I'd say there's always going to be, with so many needs to be met, it almost can come across as feeling like there's conflicting needs within the one premises, but that's not true. The end goal is always the same, which is to welcome people in and to give an opportunity for exploration, for research, for working together, and like I said, fostering that community. Um, Personally, I find one of the when you're starting from scratch and designing a library from scratch, one of the more challenging things is harnessing the strategic goals of that particular client and focusing them in towards the spatial and aesthetic outcome. Because you've got so many targets to aim for, so many objectives to achieve. And so you're working from the inside out, making sure that the library and the space is effective in terms of accommodating the activities, but also from the outside in and ensuring that it's that welcoming, open, civic focus building. And those two speak to each other. They inform one another, the outside to the inside to the outside. When you're working with a refurbishment project, it's usually that you've got to maximize what you have to work with. And usually every function and every user are vying for natural light. So where you're limited with natural light, then you've got to, I guess, create that hierarchy of priorities. What functions and what user groups and what spaces really should be closer to natural light and what could potentially be a little bit further away for focus settings or for bookable rooms and things of that nature. So the challenge is there's just so many different outcomes and spaces to accommodate.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yes, I certainly hear you, and I see all those things here in our own library. Most libraries have sort of moved into the digital space,
Mm.
largely with collections and a lot of services.
Mm.
What's the impact of digital tools and technologies on spaces?
Yeah, it's profound. I mean, at the fundamental level, the shifting of from the traditional stack of books, so a building as a stack and you're accommodating books to digitized collections means that there's a lot of space now that has the opportunity to be repurposed, adaptively reused. So for libraries, that creates new opportunities. We've seen that over the years, over the last 20, 30 years, and really that was initiated probably in the 50s and 60s with Sydney University, University of New South Wales, with the reading wings, and creating those spaces that are focused on the students and less so the books. But in more recent times, in terms of digital technologies and digital tools, there's opportunities there, not just for collaborative environments for the students to get into a bookable space, utilize the screen, put things up on the screen and collaborate around the screen. There's opportunities for seminars, for teaching tools. We're working on a digital knowledge hub with yourself at University of New South Wales, which is really a teaching as well as an exploration tool for the students and the staff. And I'd say, practically speaking, with all this digital technology around the place, one of the key things that we therefore need to provide in the libraries that might be few and far between is PowerPoints. It seems so simple, but it's a key need.
Thank you. Yes, so you mentioned people, and I guess when people think of libraries, they think that they're quiet places, but we have a lot of people in our library. What's the impact of sound and noise on design?
Yes, so I think the libraries that are bustling and full of activity and full of people there, you're absolutely going to have noise, but that's a wonderful thing. And that sense of community and that sense of energy is something that I know many others actually thrive on and love on. However, if you're there to focus on your work and you might not have some headphones to put on, that can be a bit of a distraction. So the role of controlling noise and sound is both, I guess, achieved and attenuated spatially. So you're not going to have a social setting and a focused work point immediately adjacent to one another. I mean, that much is obvious. But then you can also execute it with the use of finishes. So you want high absorbency ceilings and panels around the place, perhaps white noise generation from your air conditioning system, or if you don't have an air conditioning system that achieves that, there are other means to produce white noise for those focus settings. And then where you've got your more open group study settings or group work settings, you definitely want that more open space that can actually take away the noise, absorb the noise, and so you've got a sense of space around you at the same time.
And that's a good lead into flexibility requirements of libraries. How about those?
Yes. Yes. So flexibility is a key consideration for libraries, because you obviously want to have your logical groupings. And there's going to be rooms that have a specific function, whether it's a specialized collection or it's a seminar room. There's always going to be those specialized functions. And within, say, a seminar room, you can have adaptability for a range of different typologies, whether it's didactic learning or more group study settings. But where you have the opportunity around your collections, around your book collections for your group study, your focus points, your social settings, and things of that nature, you certainly want that flexibility. So as you're analyzing the use of those space and changing needs, and you're able to adapt those spaces relatively easily without significant capital expenditure.
Is there anything that you can think about that's a must-have in libraries of the future?
I would say this seems simple, but natural light is absolutely crucial. All those that, I look at some of the more recent libraries that have really inspired me. So I think of Surrey Hills Library, which is not too far from the university, or even more recently, the Parramatta Library, just near the new metro station there. Absolutely gorgeous library space with the tiered balconies and the way the architect has harnessed the light, but also controlled the light to protect the internal environment. We're all attracted to those kinds of spaces. And so if we want a library to be that central hub on a campus, if we want a library to be a central hub within a community, and within a municipality, then those spaces really, with natural light, are attractive to people. And so that's, I'd say, probably the number one thing for me.
Mm. It's a big change because library designs, I think, of the past were designed to not let a lot of light
Quite
in to
right.
help protect the
Absolutely.
collection. Yeah.
Quite right. And that development of technology with, glass being able to attenuate 99.9% of UV rays and infrareds, and you're able to focus the light in. I think back to, one of my favorites is the Victorian State Library, with the Latrobe meeting hall in the dome there. It's a beautiful space, but they were very much trying to control the light and keep it out. And even with the building stack at UNSW, that was the way to protect the books. Whereas these days, it is a departure, it is a shifting of priorities towards and towards natural light and towards being more people focused. But at the same time, I see architects not just letting direct sunlight in. As architects, we're actually looking at ways to bring the light in whilst also protecting the internal environment. And so there's plenty of ways where that's being executed beautifully.
Thanks. We have a wide range of people using our library spaces. What's the relationship between spaces and libraries, and then us also having their opportunities in supporting equity, diversity, and inclusion?
Yeah. Libraries are one of the few spaces, if not the only spaces, that you can go in and enjoy for free. And if that is the most inclusive, it's one of the most inclusive facilities that a community can have. So whether it's in a university context or otherwise, people go to a library for a myriad of reasons, or whether it's focused individual work, or they're between classes, or they're doing research for a PhD, or for their own interests, or they're there for group study, assignments, meetings, seminars. I've taken my kids to the local library for kids' story time and community events. There's so many different ways to engage and for individuals to actually come to a library. So for that reason, I'd say it's absolutely paramount. Libraries will help people belong to a community. And a good library will help you feel like you're an owner in your community, or an owner within your university. So for most people, obviously there's plenty of opportunities to visit a range of libraries. But I think for each library in their context, being as inclusive as possible, creating that sense of belonging, looking to ensure that it's meeting the needs of a wide range and diverse group of needs, and people. I'd say that's actually a mandate that's been given to libraries, and it's an opportunity to take up and respond to.
We have a minute spare, so I'm going to ask you an extra question that's dear to my heart.
Yes.
What can you say about the scale or the size or the capacity of libraries to meet the needs of their audience size?
Scale or capacity of size of the library to meet their audience size?
Yeah.
That is a great question. It's amazing how our occupation of a library can be transient, but also can be long term. I've spent many time in a library, and suddenly 4 hours have gone past. So it does need the ability to flex and expand and suit, I guess, the ebbs and flows. And so that would come down to, I guess, an analysis of where the increased usage would occur throughout the day and throughout the week and throughout the year, and therefore actually aiming to have the capacity for what you anticipate to be your maximum demand, or even beyond that for your future growth. So in terms of capacity, it's one of those scenarios where you can't aim for the middle of the road. You actually have to have the capacity for your maximum demand and maximum occupancy.
Yeah, those are I think they're excellent points. Thank you so much for sharing this interview with me today, which I've really enjoyed. and I look forward to continue working with you on our project.
Thanks, Martin. Great to
Thank
see you.
you.
Okay,
Thanks very
bye.
much.